Hello again, MMA True Believers. I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined by a woman that is a legit pioneer of women's mixed martial arts. Although she is known as the Happy Warrior, she has proven to be a true Iron Woman as she enters year 17 in this sport of MMA as the number 7 ranked UFC women's flyweight. On January 18th at UFC 246, she will face another stiff test as she looks to derail the hype train behind 21-year-old phenom Maycee Barber, and that woman is the one and only Roxanne Modafferi. Roxanne, thank you so much for the time tonight. It is truly an honor to get to finally speak to you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Now, what some may not know is that you and I actually have an MMA media connection because at one time you used to contribute to the site MMAsucker.com. And in some of your last pieces with them, I actually read while a senior editor for the site too. So
cool.
We're MMA Sucker alum.
Dang, that's awesome.
Now, but I wanted to ask you about your experience as a fighter, actually writing about other fighters and just writing about the sport in general. You know, how did you like that whole thing and being on that side of the equation in this MMA game?
Well, I really love it. You know, as a kid, I wanted to be either a writer or a teacher growing up, and I excelled at English, so I've always written things, stories, articles. So it was really cool to be able to, use my writing skills.
Go back to your fight with Jennifer Maia. I want to talk about, certain aspects of the matchup and how it played out, but you really can't talk, about Maia without talking about missing weight, what she has done in her last 2 bouts, including her fight with you. You've been in this sport for so long, have always been a professional. When that happens, that day before your fight, is there an annoyance, a frustration, or maybe even a concern about how big she can come in on fight night? Or, you've probably maybe dealt with worse in the Wild Wild West that was once women's MMA at one time, or 4 times this happened to you?
So 4 times.
Wow.
People have missed weight against me. And at first I was like, okay, whatever. I fought open weight. This is fine. But 3 of those times they've won by decision. So that's not a great record. Yeah. So now I'm like really legitimately mad. Like, please, I don't want to, because then I don't know. Like, yeah. She's skilled, right? So who knows how much that weight loss played into the fight, like, I can't say like, oh, I lost because she missed weight. Like, that sounds crappy. Like, I don't know, but it just gives me that factor of like, I'll never know how that fight would have gone if she had made weight, So it's super annoying. I'm like legitimately angry about it. I don't get angry very often.
And I can't blame you because looking at the fight, watching the fight, I wanted to ask, and you kind of just answered it in a way, did it affect the fight on some level? Because if there's,
well, I'm not sure. Like, I couldn't take her down.
Yeah, and that's
She's also very skilled at pummeling in the underhooks, so she did a good job of not letting me take her down. She was also shorter than me and heavy, so I don't know. It was a bummer. The whole thing was just super disappointing for me.
Yeah, because
I was disappointed in myself, disappointed in my skills, disappointed in her. And I thought we were Instagram homies. We followed each other. We liked each other's stuff. Yeah. Like, we're Instagram homies. Yeah. Like, come on.
And if anything is like inevitable in life outside of death and taxes, it's a Roxanne Modafferi takedown. And what was crazy, you didn't get a takedown in the fight. You just got 10 in the fight before. But yeah, I digress. We all know what happened, Jennifer Maia. I don't know what's up with you, but was that loss especially frustrating then to get past? Not only because of the weight loss, because of what you've been with other people missing weight. It was a rematch. It was now the second time she's got a win over you. Was that one like you've been through a lot, but was that one a particularly stinging kind of defeat?
It actually was, yeah.
And what how does like I said, you've been in the sports for so long, like. Does it take a while to get past it? Was it like a couple of weeks? Is it a couple of days? You have to get back to training and you kind of get past it. Like, what's your process, to get past that? Because I'm sure, you've fought so much that you can kind of get past it faster. But when something like that really does sting, what do you have to do? Do you have to, do something different?
It hurts a lot. It hurts just as much as it always has. I've fought 44 times. I've won about 25 times and I've lost about 18 times.
16. Don't give yourself more losses. 16.
Well, no, because I fought for the Ultimate Fighter. And
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to mentally add it up in my head. And math is not my thing, but anyway. So what I do now, like, I have a method, right? So, I try to figure out what I can improve on from that fight. So I force myself to watch it, which sucks. And I determined that, all right, well, I trained really hard for this fight. I felt really prepared. One thing that I wasn't doing well at was the clinch, so like I'm good at wrestling from the clinch, but she was backing up, so I couldn't get in close enough. I was like, man, she's dirty boxing me. Like, I wasn't really sure, like my stuff wasn't working. So I thought, well, okay, cool. So clinch work is something that I can improve on. So I talked to the syndicate resident Muay Thai coach, AJ Matthews. I said, hey, can you give me some clinch lessons? So for the next like 2 months, we just did clinch stuff.
Okay.
So that was cool. And I felt like really motivated to do that. Like I was, pretty much only time will heal the pain of the loss, but it never really goes away. It's like a dagger just stays there. Yeah. But, when I can find something to feel positive about, this is part of my happy warrior method as well in life. Like these negative things happen, but there are also positive things. Like there's always a positive thing. So I focus on that positive thing and I try not to think about the negative thing so that my mind is filled with the positive thoughts and then I can continue with positive energy for the future. So I never really got over the loss, but I've gotten excited about new training, this new fight, the next step. So I'm just so excited and motivated to show what I can do in this next fight all around. My jiu-jitsu, my wrestling, my Muay Thai, my Thug Thai, my Bigwood MMA, like I'm excited.
And you've seen so much. You've combated and befriended very different people and coaches all over your years in the sport. Do you think in some ways, going back to her missing weight, certain fighters have become more okay with the idea of missing weight? It seems like it happens much more than ever now. With more money in the sport, maybe they're okay with losing a percentage of their purse if it means stopping their weight cutting early and feeling less drained and possibly having a better fight night performance. Do you get that sense of an accepted unprofessionalism in the sport coming around?
I kind of do actually, because I feel like in the old days, if you missed weight, you
yes,
fight,
exactly, yes.
But now it's like, yeah, it's fine. We'll just take your money.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think there's like a pattern to. Well, I was thinking maybe it was just younger fighters.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, no, that person's a veteran. They missed. Oh, that person's experienced. They missed, and I don't know. Maybe it's like nowadays, like athletes. Nowadays, we're not just fighters; we're athletes. So we're building a lot of muscle as well. Like the training is really good, so people are building more muscle, so they're getting heavier than usual, or maybe they think that science can save them. So they're not like dieting as much. So they think they can science it out, which is half true but half not.
Okay.
I think those could become some reasons as well.
Do you think there needs to be a stiffer penalty? Because let's say it is a money thing, and people are like, okay, I'll lose 20%, but I'm making this, and this is still more than what I made 10 years ago.
I'm planning on writing a letter to the commission because the UFC I think is kind of out of their control. Yeah. I believe that in Japan they take a point away from the round.
Very true.
So that affects the fight. Like money doesn't affect the fight. You can beat me and then raise in the rankings and get like a title fight. Great. Let's just miss weight so we can overpower the Roxy. So no, take a point away so that if you lose the round, if you go to decision, you lose the fight. That's what I think should happen.
I like that.
That happens in Japan. It's a proven method.
Yeah. I like that. Now, for your fight on the 18th against Maycee Barber, this is an interesting fight for you in that the common rationale would be the higher-ranked fighter you should have more to lose in a fight like this. But with Maycee and the hype around her, you have a lot to gain, too. She has seemingly become one of, Dana White's favorite fighters, which puts a spotlight on her and her opponents. First, you have seen many hyped fighters come and go in your career. Is Maycee, at just 21... is she the real McCoy in your eyes? Do you think she has that future champion potential like a lot of people seem to think?
Man, when I was 23, I beat the #1 woman in America who was undefeated, and I had horrible striking. I just came to my fist and I took her down, and I did my jiu-jitsu on her, and I won. So Maycee, she has a lot of room to grow, but she friggin' clobbers her opponents, so she's earned those, sure, she's great. She's cool. She talks about working hard in the middle of smack talking Paige Van Zandt, but that's okay. Whatever. So I respect her completely. I think she's going to be tough, a really good opponent, even though I'm many years older than her. That's cool. I don't really age.
No, you still look the same. I'm kind of jealous.
I'm actually getting younger, but that's okay.
I believe it.
Off topic.
I believe it.
I have more experience, but I'm absolutely, respecting her, as an athlete, as a fighter. So I think it's going to be a brawl, and I'm excited to be on the last fight of the ESPN card, and that's totally totally because of her her ranking.
And I'm glad you brought up experience, because that's a key part. You know, her wins over Aldridge, Robertson are quite noteworthy, but also they are fighters in the same spot in terms of career and experience. Now she will face someone you with 31 more fights. Obviously, her physical gifts will play a factor in this fight. You know, her strength, her size, her punching power. But without giving too much away, how do you make your huge experience advantage play as big a factor for you on your side?
You'll just have to watch the fight and see.
Damn!
You know? Have to see. I'm ready with my new weapon. I'll be a more violent Roxy than in the past.
All right, I
expect some beautiful violence.
The ratings are just gonna go through the roof now. Once people see this, the ratings they're gonna be crazy now.
I mean, I'm not that scary. I have to do something scary in my next fight. That's kind of what I decided. Like, I got to be a little more.
Maybe
scary.
like implement like war paint or something, or maybe you should bring an axe or something.
Blood, maybe.
Yeah, like a zombie makeup, you know, there's something you could.
No, in the fight.
Oh, in the fight. Oh,
like,
yeah, it's true.
I need to make some blood.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Like, I gotta be a little more scary. I'm not scary. I'm like, that's my mean.
Maybe just like do really illegal things like Bernard Hopkins and step on a foot and elbow. I mean, do something, something like that, maybe.
You can do that. That's totally.
That's
legal.
true.
That's a great
That's
idea.
true.
I've been practicing. I don't want to tell you my secret.
Okay.
It's a great idea.
All right.
I have practiced this.
Now, she may be ranked lower than you, but this is still another big fight for you. You've had some real marquee opportunities in the UFC, and in important fights like with Nico Montano and Sajara Eubanks, and its last fight with Maia. That was a real big deal too fight. This fight has a similar vibe too, because of the momentum we've talked about with her and the hype behind her. Do you feel any added motivation or even pressure going into this fight to say get over that UFC hump and get that landmark Roxy UFC win and solidify yourself and then jump into the top 5?
Heck yeah, all of that. So yeah, I'm so excited for this opportunity to be on this card. Man, I just want to win. Like, we UFC fighters really just want to win and secure our next fight, first of all, so, but I'm trying, but when I start thinking about that, I start getting stressed out. So, I just try to focus on the most important thing to me other than winning, which is to show what I've learned and my improvements in training in the ring, in the cage, so I have stuff I want to do to her, stuff I want to show that I've grown. I got to focus on that and let go of the stress of everything else.
And a question I've always wanted to ask you, Happy Warrior, sir, madam, is like, how do you maintain the happiness? This is a cruel world. We're talking about maybe a war with Iran. MMA is a tough game. Everybody wants to hurt you. I'm sure it's the impressive the fountain of youth that you have, that you still look the same way you did 13 years ago. I'm so jealous and annoyed. Can I get this happiness, or are you just like a super powered being and just happiness is your power and we're all just lost in this world?
Well, that is my superpower.
Damn.
First of all, but I got it from my mama. But I wrote a book too. If you want to go on my website, RoxanneModafferi.net, I'm selling a book called How to Be Positive. And yeah, it talks about, I have about 10 mental techniques that I use.
Oh, okay.
And I apply to my life. For example, always look on the bright side.
Yeah.
Or I think of the chapter I called it, there's always a silver lining. Yeah. So yes, there's a negative thing, but out of everything, even if it's the fact that you can still stand up and walk, is a silver lining. So focus your mind on these thoughts. And there's a constant thought replacement technique that thoughts are like water, right? Like, they flow into your head. You can't stop the thoughts from coming, but you can redirect them in a certain way. So I woke up and I had a really sore back and my leg hurt, so I'm thinking about that. I'm waking up out, kind of bummed out. But then I think, all right, well, cool. I have a physical therapy appointment today and it's going to feel way better after that. And then I get to teach my kids. So I focus on how great I'm going to feel. And then I'm going to teach my kids class. So thinking of those thoughts helps me feel the positive energy. And I feel less negative energy because I'm not holding those thoughts in my brain. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's a technique.
I think I have it
for free.
Look at that! Everyone at home, you guys are getting free information, free advice. It's just lucky. Now, I just have.
And buy my book too.
That too. Where is it? Where can they buy? Is it Amazon? Barnes and Noble? Is it available all these places?
I have 2 books actually. One's on Amazon, my memoirs book, and then the other one, just go to my name, RoxanneModafferi.net, and I sell it in my store.
Oh, sweet. Now, I think I have an idea for a fantastic experiment, since you are the Happy Warrior. I'm in New York. I'm a New Yorker. This is a angry, miserable place. How about Roxy in New York? If you can still stay happy in New York, then I truly know this is your superpower. You have to live in New York for 2 years, and I want to see what happens after.
I have confidence in myself.
I have confidence in New York, and that's all I'll say. But moving on to the next question. I was curious about your thoughts on a fellow pioneer of women's MMA, and Shayna Baszler. Actually, you just found a video. I found a video of you two from like 2014 doing some fun wrestling stuff. So I was like, okay, I gotta ask about this. You know, she really has become a fantastic pro wrestler, and has soon enough made far outshine what she did in MMA, which is important stuff when she goes to the main roster in WWE. How much have you followed her evolution in wrestling, pro wrestling, and was there ever a time when the money wasn't great in MMA, especially for women, especially early in your career, that you yourself maybe thought about wrestling as a revenue source and follow that path that she followed at one time?
I am so happy for Shayna, by the way. Like, you know, she retired from MMA and started doing pro wrestling. I never really watched pro wrestling until Stephen Amell, the Arrow guy.
Really?
So I watched him do it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I followed Shayna. I followed her on social media. I don't know if I've really watched her do it, but it's cool. Like, I'm not a great I don't know if I've never really acted.
Yeah.
And I'm too nice. Like, I would have to be like the happy person getting beat up all the time. I don't know no, I've never really. I've done some with my friend Serena. Yeah. Just joking around, like little skits, dressing up in cosplay and doing stuff. So I'm sure I have the ability. Yeah. But it never really occurred to me. But yeah, I'm so happy for her. It's exciting to see like her getting more and more popular. And way to go, Shayna. I mean, you're supportive forever. And Jessamine Duke as well.
Yes, very true, very true. Now, I interviewed Miesha Tate actually yesterday, and it's amazing to look back at her career, how long she was in the sport and around, who she fought, and your history in the sport is the same and even deeper than hers, because you have traversed many different era of women's MMA. You were a name when Tara La Rosa was a top fighter, then Gina Carano and Cyborg, on to Ronda Rousey, and now we're in a time with Amanda and Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, being pound for pound talent, men or women, they're the elite fighters in the world. Yet, unlike Miesha, who is already retired at 33, which blows my mind, you are still going strong in a ranked UFC flyweight. Have you ever stopped and thought, wow, like, I've done and been around for so much and just feel so much pride for being a key part of like the growth of the women's side of things and still in it at a high level? It's amazing.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. I'm so happy. I just got to win my next fight, you know, stay on the top, you know what I'm saying? But no, it's really cool. Like, I do think about that. And, you know, I try to give myself little pats on the back now and then just to, you know, stay positive and give myself some credit. You know, it takes sacrifice, you know, like I moved from my happy life in Japan here to America to pursue this. And, you know, I'm not a partier, but, you know, I always go to bed at friggin' 8:30 or 9 p.m. every night so I can have energy to train the next morning, and always a strict diet, you know, and I want to learn how to dance country, but I don't have the time.
Yeah, talking about that, what along with dancing country, I mean, because you've been in the sport for so long, I'm sure you've missed out on certain opportunities that take a long amount of time. Like, what are things that you feel like you maybe missed out of along with country dancing, and something you will look forward to getting to when retirement comes around in like 10 or 20 years?
Playing the piano.
All right. That's pretty good.
I hope dating doesn't happen in 10 or 20 years.
It'll still be around in 10 and 20 years, and the struggle will be real. For all of us. Thanks, buddy. All of us. Now, speaking of Shevchenko, she has her next title fight coming up with Katlyn Chookagian. It's the title fight in your division. What do you think of that fight, and how do you see it playing out between Katlyn and Valentina?
Man, I mean, they're both really good fighters. You know, I don't see anybody as invincible. I think Katlyn earned the title shot. Yeah. Valentina's skilled, so I think it's going to be a blast. And I look forward to seeing
it. Will you be watching it closely with the axe and the new weaponry you have?
Yes.